Hey, Summitview family. I'm excited to tell you the story behind a famous Christmas song that we don't sing on Sunday mornings. It's the Hallelujah chorus from Handel's Messiah. And like Joy to the World, this song was not written based on a Christmas passage. Let me tell you the story of why we sing it at Christmas time. George Frederick Handel was born in Germany in the 1600s. And it was clear that from a young age, he had a real knack for music. And he wanted to use that talent to glorify God. So after experiencing moderate success writing operas while in Germany, he moved to Italy where he wrote oratorios. Oratorios are similar to operas, but they're written based on a biblical story and they have a lower budget. He had wild success with oratorios until all of Europe knew his name by the age of 25. He then continued in his career, moving to London, England, desiring to be able to write in the language of English. But unfortunately, he experienced bad health, which slowed him down. He suffered a stroke while he was in his 30s. He was then plagued by rheumatism. He then experienced deteriorating eyesight, which eventually led to blindness. Handel found himself living in a tiny quarters on the rougher side of London in debt because he had used all of his fortune from oratorios to pay medical bills. And not only had his health dried up, but also his creative abilities had seemed to dry up as well. He received a letter in the mail, which was just the inspiration that he needed. It was a letter from a famous businessman named Charles Jennens, who had previously had the idea of creating a piece of music that summarized key passages from the Bible about Messiah. But nothing had ever come of his idea. So he got the idea and he sent it to Handel and said, do something with this if you'd like. This was just the inspiration he needed. Handel locked himself in his little study and began write to the music to Messiah at a jaw-dropping rate. Messiah is built in 3 parts, 1, 2, 3. The first part about Christmas, the second part about redemption, the third part about the future reign of Jesus. He wrote the first part in 7 days. He wrote the second part in 9 days. He wrote the third part in 7 days. You'll probably recognize a couple of them. One of the songs is, "For unto us a child is born." That comes from the first part, the Christmas part. But the Hallelujah chorus comes from the second part about redemption. Why is the Hallelujah chorus known as a Christmas song, even though it's not from the Christmas part? The reason is that Handel's Messiah was performed during the month of December, both when he is alive and afterwards, as a means of raising money for charity, as it often is these times of year. And so that's why the Hallelujah chorus is often associated with Christmas. Well, Handel wanted to bring his Messiah to London where he was living, and it was met with amazing success. The first night of the concert, it was absolutely sold out. The second night, King George II himself was in attendance. Now, it's important to know that Handel was blind by this point. And so by the time they got to the part where the Hallelujah chorus was being sung, he could tell, even without seeing, that something happened in the crowd, that this song had moved them. What he didn't know because he was blind was that at the very first notes of this powerful song, the king had stood up, moved by the powerful lyrics and the music. And so, fittingly, everybody else stood up in response to the king standing up. Now, today, even to this day, if you attend a performance of Messiah, it is traditional, it's customary for everybody to stand up when it gets to that point. When Handel had written this song, he had said this, quote, "I did think that I did see all of heaven before me and the great God himself." Now, when I listen to this song, that's what I feel. I feel like I get a glimpse of God himself through this glorious song. It conveys so much. Each time I listen to it, it moves me to joyful tears because it is so God-glorifying. For instance, when I hear the diversity, I hear the different choir parts, it reminds me of the diversity of all the nations one day surrounding the throne of King Jesus and glorifying him. I think about when I hear the timpanis booming, it just gives me a sense of the power of King Jesus. When I hear the trumpets, when I hear the brass, it reminds me of a royal pronouncement. It feels like the king has arrived. And then when I hear the sopranos go higher and higher with King of Kings and Lord of Lords, shockingly high, it gives me the feeling of God's kingdom with an ever-increasing glory and peace, surprisingly glorious. And it reminds me of this famous Christmas passage from Isaiah 9, verse 7. Of the increase of his, Messiah's government and of peace, there will be no end. On the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and with righteousness, from this time forth and forevermore. And so what I'd like for you to do as a personal devotional time or as a family is I want you to search for this song online. And I want you to find a live performance that has the choir. And when you watch it, I want to make sure you don't listen to it on a phone or a laptop with poor speakers, but something where you can hear it well. And I want you to get a sense of the greatness of our God as portrayed through this God-glorifying song, and considering this great King of Kings whose kingdom will ever reign. Thanks for listening to the story behind Handel's Hallelujah Chorus. Love you. Take care, Summitview family. Merry Christmas.